Hey, good morning. Good morning. Okay, boy, I've screwed everything up here this morning, haven't I? Okay, I'm back. Oh, yeah, it was yeah, I know I'm a little later than I normally am running this stream by about an hour, but hey, you know, uh, doctor's appointments are important. And that's exactly what I was doing this morning. At 6:30, I was sitting in front of my doctor's office, waiting for him to open at 6:45. Get in, get my things done. That's the plan. I mean, I figure if I've got a 7 o'clock appointment and the doors open at 6:45, I get in. There's no real reason why I cannot be seen at 7. That's why I schedule opening hour appointments so I can get in. Because especially most of my doctors, these guys, they're the kind that you see, uh, and if there's been an automobile accident or something like that, they can get called over to the hospital on a moment's notice because it's what they got going on is important. They got somebody that's really been hurt bad. So usually I can get in and out of there, usually be home by 8. But I got in this morning, saw my doctor on time, man. 7:04 is when he walked into the room. I'm sitting there, my legs all prepped, for him to inject his concrete into. And okay, now we're done with this. We need you to go get a sonogram on your leg. Doc, I'm not dressed for a sonogram. Oh, yeah, that's fine, Oh, okay. Because usually when you go in for these sonograms, they've got to put one thing up in your crotch and the other, and then as they're going down, because they want to catch that femoral artery right up the very top. And then trace that all the way down to see what's going on, if anything. Now, Raman, if you're listening, I did send you a link. But anyway, I got home and got things set up, and now I'm good to go. I may still only run an hour though, because my afternoon is still pretty well clocked in the way it should be, the way it usually is. Y'all know I like science. Now, what y'all don't know is that and like most kids, even kids today, I went through a stage of my early childhood where I read every book in the public library on dinosaurs. I was into dinosaurs in outer space. Remember, I was alive and I went to my uncle's house because we didn't have a TV. And we went to my uncle's house to watch Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon, to watch the moon landing. That was that big of a deal. And so that's why I the like the SpaceX stuff, I'm really happy to see that going on. Um, SpaceX going up and rescuing those two astronauts as simply amazing. The media is showing their bias and not covering it any more than what they did. None of them giving Musk any praise, which absolutely disgusted me. Now, yes, I know Musk himself did not sit down and design those rockets. Musk himself did not sit down and build them rockets. Musk himself did not. But he owns that damn company and he leads it. He's the one that hired the people that he knew were smart enough, brilliant enough to do all that. And better yet, to pay them enough to stay with him instead of going to work for NASA. And the bureaucratic red tape that's tied up there with them. So if that had been Jeff Bezos doing that, or Zuckerberg, or George Soros, the media had been all over that and praising the hell out of these left-wing idiots. But because it was Elon Musk and his ties with the Trump administration, they had to keep that, they had to downplay it as much as possible. Absolutely disgusting people. But anyway, back to the dinosaurs. If you have not heard, scientists are bringing back some interesting little wolves, the dire wolves. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce this. Actually, I am going to try to pronounce it. The dire wolf lived in the Americas during the late Pleistocene and early Holocene epochs, between 9,500 and 125,000 years ago. All right, there's a possibility that there was a fossil found in northeast China, but some of the researchers, some researchers are saying, nah, that's not exactly a dire wolf. But they're quite interesting. Here is a skeleton of a dire wolf. As we all, if you're Game of Thrones fans, which I was not, I did not. I think I watched one episode. I've never read the books. Well, I don't think I read any of the books. I may have read one of them, but that's about it. I may have read one of the first ones, but it didn't catch my interest enough to buy any of the sequels. But the dire wolves, when compared to today's wolves, okay, all right, see if they've got some pictures. All right, here we go. All right, a timber wolf is 2.5 foot tall at the shoulder, whereas the dire wolf was 3 foot tall, 3.5 foot tall at the shoulder. Timber wolf being 6 foot long and a dire wolf being 8 foot long. So dire wolf's it's not as huge as what they were showing them in that Game of Thrones show. At least not on the commercials that I saw. The appearance didn't be, they seemed like they took artistic license and made them a bit larger than what they actually were. But today, scientists have genetically these are dire wolves living today. All right, as you see here, they were combined the genomes of a gray wolf and a dire wolf DNA found in fossils. Now, while does that sound a little familiar? The premise behind Jurassic Park. I mean, they're beautiful animals. They really are. But some scientists are skeptical, saying that they're just slightly genetic modified wolves. Supposedly, from what I remember them saying, the 99.5% genetic similarities between the gray wolf and the dire wolf. So they took that other 0.5% difference and put it into these wolves, when they did the gene splicing. I mean, they're beautiful, and I've got nothing but I've got nothing but happiness about it. CNN, what the hell? I hate you, CNN. I really do. Okay. Scientists say they have resurrected the dire wolf. There's another picture of them. We already saw the video. A wolf, now see, CNN, 9,500 years to 12,000. Okay. You've been a little bit more accurate in saying died out 9,500 years ago than saying they died out 12,000 years. But I know it sounds a little more science-y, a little more ooh factor. To say 12,000 over 9,000. Ooh, that's 3,000 more years. Well, according to scientists, they could have lived as late as 9,500 years ago. That's still impressive. Colossal scientists have created 3 dire wolf pups using ancient DNA, cloning, gene editing technology to alter the genes of a gray wolf. The dire wolf, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, which was the inspiration for the fearsome canine featured in HBO series Game of Thrones, was the top predator, the ones from North America. So now Colossal's also saying that in the next few years they're going to have a mammoth out there. They're working on resurrecting the mammoth, the dodo, and the Tasmanian tiger. Now that could be interesting, seeing a mammoth roaming the. But where in the world would you keep them? Where would you keep these things? I mean, mammoths, from what I remember, really recorded a large area to roam around in. So this massive milestone is the first of many coming examples demonstrating our end-to-end de-extinctation technology stack works. Our team took DNA from a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull and made healthy dire wolf puppies. Now, see, that's what's impressive. A 72,000-year-old skull, they're able to get DNA from it. That's what I find to be impressive. So let's look forward to seeing these beauties. And yeah, personally, I don't care how much they actually resemble the actual dire wolves. That's not a thing I'm going to worry about. I'm going to be just happy to see beautiful animals running. I would rather see wolves, which can be contained, than something much larger, which can't be contained, if you know what I mean. We don't need a bunch of scientists out there creating creatures that, aren't going to be healthy for mankind. Okay, we just don't need it. Okay, can I get this out of the oven without destroying it? There we go. All right. Got that taken care of. So we'll get these wolves. I mean, I can handle seeing wolves and other small animals around, but let's not get carried away, scientists. Let's not get stupid. Okay, stop sharing that screen. So that was the nice stuff we got covered here this morning. CBS and Trump. Paramount Global and Trump will supposedly begin mediation in the coming days over his $20 billion lawsuit over the 60 Minutes fiasco interview with Kamala Harris. Two sides have finally agreed on a mediator, and they want to get this over and done with before Paramount merges with Skydance. Now, if y'all remember, when CBS interviewed Kamala before the election, they did some editing to her answers. And in doing that editing, that made her sound a lot more intelligent, made her answer sound a lot more intelligent and on point than what it actually was. They didn't interrupt her. They didn't accuse her of lying. They didn't do any of the stuff to her that they did to Trump when they interviewed him. All the media is like that. They're still like that. Every time Trump turns around, he's being called a liar. You would think that the media will have learned their lesson, considering that Trump is suing CBS and 60 Minutes for doing what they've done. I personally, I think there was grounds to be set. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Grounds set to sue all three news organizations, all four, including CNN, for election interference for the way they covered Kamala and Trump. I honestly believe that there's ground. If I were put on a jury and knowing what I've known, seeing what I have seen, I would have no trouble whatsoever convicting ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times of election interference. I've got no problem with whatsoever. Simply for the lies that they all spouted. There was no fair coverage of President Trump. During the election cycle. So I hope CBS has all but admitted it. 60 Minutes has all but admitted the mere fact that they're trying to mediate their way out of this is enough to show you that they know that they did wrong. Despite what their claims are, they know that they did wrong. If they got it before a jury, they would be found guilty. Much like CNN was just found guilty of defamation and paying out millions of dollars to that guy down in Florida. So that's these news organizations have got to learn that there's the crap that they pull has got to come to an end. I would like to, I mean, what was that? The View. Joy Behar and Goldie Hawn. And a Hispanic woman, Sunny. Well, Sunny's the black woman. I can't remember the Hispanic woman's name. All of them. The way they lie. But they're an opinion show. They're allowed to get away with it. They're not a news program. But to knowingly lie about a person, and I don't care whether it's the president or your next door neighbor, to knowingly lie about them, about a person, I think it is one of the most despicable things that can be done. When I was a kid, now my dad had no problems giving us whippings. When I was a kid, there was no issue with that. The worst whipping I ever got was involved with mishandling of a firearm, of a .22 rifle. But other than that, every really bad whipping, I mean, what I would consider a bad whipping, being on the receiving end of it, was for lying. And not because it was just the whipping itself. It started off with taking a bite of Dove or Ivory soap and having to chew it up. Didn't have to swallow it, but you had to chew it up. And that was, oh. Then after you spit that out, then you got your whipping. Then after you got the whipping, you had to stand with your nose in the corner until my parents decided, okay, you'd had enough. It didn't take very much of those before you realize that lying was, and getting caught lying was not a good thing. That was something that would get you torn up. My dad called it the worst of all sins. And if you think about it, it is. And when these media people intentionally lie, if you're given an opinion, and your opinion is you don't like Trump because you disagree with him on his positions, that's fine. That's fine. I disagree with a lot of things I disagree with some of the things Trump's doing right now, like this proxy voting. These women in the House and Senate complaining that I just gave birth and I want to be able to vote from home. Excuse me. You ran for office to represent your people or to give up your vote to somebody else, to let somebody proxy vote for you. Excuse me. You ran for office. You ran to represent thousands of people. That should come before anything. Thousands of people are paying you money and giving you all kinds of privileges to represent them in Congress, in Washington, D.C. You're not going to take 8 weeks off, 2 months, 2 months off, 3 months off because you had a baby. I'm sorry, no. You're too damn important to the people that voted for you. You're there to represent them. How can you represent them in Congress if you're not there? If you're sitting at home? Being a congressional representative, be it in the Senate or the House, there's nobody to take your place. You can't just call in sick and somebody else is going to show up and do your job for you. You don't have a backup person to take your place. You're there to represent the people that voted for you in your district, in your state. If you can't handle it, resign. If starting a family, if you know you're going to start a family in the next 6 years, don't run to be a senator. Don't run to be a senator if you're planning on getting pregnant in the next 6 years. Don't do it. If you're planning on getting pregnant in the next 2 years, don't run to be a member of the House. It's bad enough that we've got people that miss votes for whatever reason, or vote present because they're too big of a coward. Okay, now, just as a, let's see here. Come on, fingers, get on the keyboard, right? Who has missed the most votes in Congress? Okay. That's 2022. I don't care about 2022. Let's see here. Freaking ads. I hate freaking ads. Let's see here. Arizona Democrat Rep Raul Grijalvala has missed 455 votes, roughly 80%, 88% of the House votes taken this year. But he's been battling cancer. He should have stepped down. The 76-year-old was reelected in November and said his upcoming term will be his last. He should have stepped down. He should not have ran for reelection. He should not have been allowed to run for reelection. Pennsylvania Democrat Dwight Evans, second most absent member of Congress, having missed 63% of the votes after having a stroke. He also ran re-election. He won re-election in November after running unopposed. Let's see here. U.S. Rep Granger missed 5 months. Okay. She was in a retirement facility dealing with dementia-related issues. She should have been resigned and a special election held to replace her. Now hey, Raman. Ramen, you're right. In the normal work environment, maternity leave is a normal thing. Being an elected member of the House or Senate is not a normal job. You don't have a backup person that can step in and vote for you or do your job. You're it. You're one deep. You're a one deep position. And if you're planning on starting a family and taking 2 or 3 months off, don't run for office. But that's not fair to women. And since when is life fair? A man who has missed all of his votes for his last year in office because of us missing running because of having a stroke. And hey, he missed 63% of his votes after suffering a stroke. Okay, he won re-election. He was re-elected after missing over half of the votes. His people are not getting represented. They're not. He is getting paid. Hey, I'll pray for the man that he recovers from his stroke, but he can't do the job he's being paid to do by the American people. And it's not like somebody else can slide in and do the job for him. Well, now they want to start doing proxy votes. So all these people, all these Democrats, out of the top 5, 4 of them are Democrats. Okay. So they all turn over, they give their votes to Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries. And let them vote for them by proxy. Or in case of Granger, she'd give her vote over to Johnson. Granger, once she went into the hospital for dementia, she should have been forced to resign her position and allowed a special election to go forward. Okay. Man missed 88% of his voting because he was battling cancer. He should have resigned. He should have been forced to resign. And somebody in a special election to get somebody in there to fill his seat. Hey, Neil. Oh, I talked about happy things at first. Talked about the dire wolves being the quote unquote dire wolves that are out running around in a science lab. And that same science lab wanting to bring back Tasmanian devils. Hey, that's cool. Bring back the dodo bird. Hey, that's even cool too. Bring back mammoths. That's questionable. You want a dire wolf? Those 3 all white wolves, especially when the puppies are cute as all get out. They are little puppies grow up to big uns. And wolves, you don't feed them kibble. You got to feed them meat. I'm not a big fan of that. That's not something that I'm a big fan of. That can get expensive, and I really don't want I don't have that kind of money to pay for that kind of meat. If you've got it, hey, wonderful. But and where are they going to keep these dire wolves? I mean, they don't have right now. They don't have a natural place in our ecology. Oh, there is no. They no longer have a place in our ecology. They're not on the food tree anymore. They've been extinct for 9,000 years. Lots of things have changed over the last 9,000 years. But anyway, but anyway, um, I know everybody's heard about that young lad that stabbed the other. Okay. Um, and the Carmelo with a K, Anthony. The long and the short of it is he went and sat under the wrong school's tent. His school's tent was across the field. On the opposing side, he was the opposing team. And he went and sat down at the wrong school's tent. Now, these two boys, twins, told him to move, get over to where you're supposed to be. And one of them touched him. And he said, touch me again and see what happens. So the boy touched him again, and the kid had his hand in a gym bag, pulled out a knife, and stabbed him in the heart and killed him. Stabbed him in the chest and killed him. Then he admitted to it to the cops. I'm not the alleged person, I did it. Words to that effect. He was black. The guy that he killed was white. There's some out there who are saying that he was just standing his ground. He told the kid not to touch him. He touched him. How he touched him, we don't know. Oh yeah, there's a lot of GoFundMe's and such out there for him to pay for his lawyers and such. There's one guy out there saying this was a case of FAFO. He told him not to touch him. He touched him. So he found out. Now, obviously, the kid broke school policy, school rules when he took a knife on campus. Now, I'm going to go back to the 1970s when I was in high school. You was hard pressed to find a male student that didn't have a buck 110 on his belt. You've been hard, just as you've been hard pressed to find a vehicle in the student parking during hunting season that didn't have a rifle or a shotgun in it. But that was the 70s. That's not today. And today, as we know, these kids will shoot or stab you without thinking twice about it. That's very true, Raman. Oh, well, I'm not saying it was FAFO. I'm saying that people on Carmalo's side is saying this is FAFO. They're finding every excuse they can to blame him, to support him. You know, this was a case of staying your ground. This was a case of self-defense because that guy touched me. I told him not to touch me, and he touched me anyway. Hey, Tyre, good morning. Been a while. Oh yeah, I got stabbed more often with one of them damn compasses too. Then I've only been stabbed twice with a knife, with somebody else holding it. Both times it was one of my brothers. Now there is no justification for that kid being dead. One, the kid. Okay, let's point out the mistakes on both sides. One, Carmelo, he knew what he was doing when he went to the opposing school's tent and sat down. He knew he was going to get told to leave. He knew he was there to cause an issue. That's all there is to it. He didn't, oh, I accidentally sat down in the wrong tent. No, that don't happen. Not at a school track meet, not at a high school football game, basketball game, nothing like that. You don't accidentally sit down on the opposing team's side. That's just not the way that works. So he did that hoping to cause an issue. He carried a knife onto school property. So mistake one on his, Kamala's side, he carried a knife on a school property. Two, he went and sat down in the opposing school's tent. Three, when he was told he was in the wrong tent, he didn't leave. He was given the opportunity to leave and he didn't. Then he come back with the don't touch me or you'll find out why. You won't like what happens if you touch me. The other kid, all right, the other side there, one, The kid could have went and got a teacher, gotten law enforcement, because they've always got law enforcement at these meets, or gotten a supervisor or somebody in authority. But I can understand, that's what he could have possibly, and now hindsight should have done in hindsight. But like they say, hindsight's 2020. Exactly, Ron. When you find out you're on the wrong side, you go to the correct side. And then the kid said, "Don't touch me or you won't like the results." Or, that's if no, I'm not quoting him there. Okay, understand that. But, that's, you know, keep your hands to yourself, whatever. And the guy reached out and touched him. How he touched him, I don't know. But short of beating the guy, hitting him with a closed fist or whatever, there is nothing that should result in being stabbed and a weapon being introduced and then and taking the kid's life. That's all there is to it. Hey, morning, Digi. I'm surprised you're not at work already. You got the day off. So yeah, I'm going tired. Like you said, I'm putting most of the blame on this Carmelo kid. But you got the progressive side, and you have the skin tone uh, people who are more concerned about the color of the person's skin than anything else. They're taking, for the most part, Kamalo's side. This kid has ruined his life. We all know that. That's a given. He's ruined his life. But it's sad. It's sad days. Hey, did you? We're just talking about that Kamalo kid stabbing the white kid at the track meet in Texas. Just covering that for a little bit. Now, Raman, like I said, back in the 70s and the farm-based schooling that I went to, and again, I've got, I didn't go to an inner city school. I went to a school where most of the kids, at least 50% of the kids, grew up on farms or adjacent to farms. And, a couple of wealthy people one girl was the younger sister of a basketball player for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hey, morning freestyle. How you or Freeside? Okay, good morning. Welcome. So, I mean, we had a totally different environment than what a lot of kids have today. If we got into a fight with someone, it was until somebody said, I give, or a little bit of blood got drawn. Bloody nose, split lip, something like that. I'm not talking knife fights and drawing blood that way. I'm talking like a bloody nose. So there was, and I mean, and most fights honestly ended with somebody saying, "Okay, I give," and then that was the end of it. Very few fights took place on school property. I had one of the few fights that took place actually on school property, and it happened in the school library. In the school library, on top, in front of the principal, the vice principals, and a half a dozen or so teachers. Well, no, like I said, most of us had a buck 110 on our belts. Okay, but they stayed there. No, those were knives that and every one of the FFA kids had a knife. So, but nobody fought with knives. They were a tool. They weren't a weapon. That was one of the big first arguments I got into when I got working security. We're sitting there having lunch one day, and I pulled out a knife, my pocket knife, to cut my apple with. And the boss lady was sitting there, and she saw my not pocket knife, just a standard pocket knife, a Kershaw. And she went nuts. How dare you have that weapon here? Weapon? What weapon? My gun's at home. Right there, that knife. You know what? My little 2.5-inch blade pocket knife that I'm using, as you can see, to cut my apple with. That violates your rules of employment. You're not allowed to have any weapons. Since when is a pocket knife a weapon? Hey, Tyler, you gonna be somebody's second? Are you gonna be somebody's second? Or are you gonna be the primary? Yeah, you can do. I'm not doing no dueling. I've got nothing. I got nothing to do with dueling. That's not going to happen. Oh yeah, more. I mean, I, I'll make a bet. As many people were killed with a hammer as killed with a Kershaw pocket knife. Oh, you're going to be the ref. Okay. My sister, she let her concealed weapons permit expire because she's gotten rid of all the guns in her house. She just somebody, and I've warned her about this, but somebody told her that wasp spray is legal. You don't need a license to carry wasp spray, which is true. You don't. But it is also illegal to use wasp spray as a weapon. Using wasp spray, boy, I just put in using wasp, and first thing pops up is using wasp spray. Using wasp spray is a product that is meant to kill insects and not for use on humans. Using wasp spray for self-defense and is illegal and can cause serious harm or legal consequences. Wasp spray is not effective as pepper spray or other legal alternatives. Does not contain the same active ingredient. No matter how many times I tell my sister that she's doing well, my best friend told me your best friend is going to get you in trouble. Oh, tactile attack cat. I tell you what, I'd rather be attacked by a dog than a cat. I would definitely rather have a cat or a dog come after me than a cat. A dog is only going to bite you. A cat is going to attack you with all four claws and their mouth. You can survive a dog attack if you really want to. If you know if you have a better chance of surviving a dog and cat than you do surviving a cat attack. Cats are vicious little critters. Then you got my dog, old Spanky. He spends his time sleeping on the couch. He barks as long as there's a door or a wall or a window between you. He'll bark at whoever's outside, but other than that, that's as much as he's going to do. He spends his days asleep anymore. Yeah, Ramen, you're right. That dog once he gets his teeth into you is not going to let go. Okay, but he's also not shredding you with his claws at the same time. Hey, morning, Data. Even the words cat attack, cat attack, cat attack. Ah. Let's see here. All right, guys, here's a video I want y'all to watch. Speaking of attacks, and you tell me who you're watching this video. You have to decide from this video if who is at fault. Is the audio turned up? Yep. You tell me who's at fault here.
Oh, he is black ass. Dang.
Okay. He's telling her to back up. She is obviously walking up on him. She hits him twice, he hits her once. And Ty, that's exactly the way I would look at it. That woman goes to jail. If there's going to be anybody going to jail, it's going to be that woman. But he's the one that got arrested. From my understanding, he got arrested for this. And I think that's just plain wrong. I gotta save this picture. This picture's cute. Let me share this. You guys will shave of the day. Yep. Oh yeah, Ron. The wife and I were talking about that last night. You can even go back to the movies from the 1930s and 40s, where women are slapping men across the face all the time for any reason, for any slight. They reach up and slap the man, and the man just stands there and rubs his face, and that's the end of it. In today's world, that doesn't work. A woman reaches up and slaps a man, she is more likely to get the crap knocked out of her. It may only be with one hit, but he's going to hit back more than likely. Yeah, Tyler, that is what I was laughing about here on this picture. That's what I was laughing about here. Accountability is to women what kryptonite is to Supergirl. You know, I've only have I ever hit a woman in my life? Yes, twice. Once on a school bus and once after I was in the Air Force. The one on the school bus, you know, she clocked me pretty good. She was a country girl out on that farm. She was a farm girl, out there working in the barns. She had some muscle and beef behind that swing of hers. Did you really say that, Robin? Robin, did you really say that? Oh my God. Oh, I'm going to have to show that to the wife tonight. When I get up, I got to show that to the wife tonight. That's good. Yeah, but like I said, women have been allowed to hit men since long before I was born. It was, men never hit a lady. Men never hit a woman because women aren't as strong for the most part. Women aren't as muscular. Their bones are more likely to break. Yada 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 yada. All the differences we actually know there are between men and women. Then women decided that they were equal to men and they could come up and do more than just slap a man across the face. They could punch him, they could knee him in the crotch, they could do all this other stuff. And I'm always amazed when you watch these fights and the same women coming off so cocky. You watch the videos and the same women coming off so cocky. I'm a big bad woman. You can't, hear me roar type woman. Then all of a sudden, how dare you hit me? How dare you hit me? I'm a lady. How dare you do that to me? I'm a woman. Don't you know you're supposed to open the I know these are skits. You watch these videos on YouTube and the shorts and you know they're skits. Because people do not go about recording themselves on the day-to-day life. They don't do it. Unless they're recording a skit. That's why, I watch these videos and very rarely do I believe that video is real. Like right now, one of the big things, well, it's sort of starting to die out or has died out, is women uh, deleting their husbands, boyfriends, sports profiles on the Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. Now, I know that that's happened a couple of times for real, but nobody sits there and puts up a camera in the corner of the room to record their husband's, boyfriend's reaction to it. Because, if I come home and see a camera set up and ring lights on and everything else, I know whatever's happening is planned. So they're not going to get a natural reaction. So that's one thing you got to watch out for when you watch these videos on YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But yeah, women have deleted their husbands' football, basketball, baseball, uh, stuff off of these gaming stations. And once they're deleted, they're deleted. They can't be recovered. I think the first one I saw that was actually real was several years ago. And the woman the guy was she just couldn't believe how, that she got mad at him because he was spending too much time on there, and not enough time with her. But then the time he spent on there was paying all the bills in the house and giving her the luxury of not having to work. Yeah, you're right. That's real hate, Ramen. That's real hate to go and delete. So if my wife would have deleted my World of Warcraft stuff when I was playing, oh, I would have been madder than hell. But even though you can recover it, I still would have been mad because of the amount of time I would have had to spend trying to recover it all. So, let's see what else we got there. I did that fight. That's fine. That's all I got there. I think I'm about done here. Fauci is admitting that, let's see, breaking. Fauci says COVID measures like social distancing and face masks and lockdowns worked, but admits things may have been closed down for too long. He should be in prison. I mean, that so anyway, oh man, I don't even want to get into that. Um, let's see, let's see, today's Tuesday. On Thursday, I'm going to try to get a little bit more educated on this tariff stuff, because there's been a lot of things going on with the tariffs, and supposedly about 70 countries are coming up now and wanting to reduce their tariffs on American goods, U.S. goods, because they don't want the tariffs applied to theirs. But I want to talk a little bit more about that on Thursday. Okay. But other than that, I think I'm about done for today. I want everybody to try to have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. And try to stay out of trouble, and as always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you are.